JB here. Hope everyone's doing outstanding. June 27th, 2024, about an hour and a half left in the trading day. Quickly talk about the market, some of the names that traded, some updates, go from there. Take a look at this, the S&P, the SPY. I've just posted in the chat room a little while ago that the range is extremely tight. And typically those are my famous last words when we have some kind of large move at the end of the day. I'm hoping there's no large sell-off. But if you take a look at the candle, very tight. I mean, we traded to a highs of was that 546.97? I have to get the numbers up here. It was a low of 543.25. Is that right? 545.25. Excuse me. 544.67. Excuse me. I don't know why I'm getting all these numbers messed up here. Excuse me. So hopefully some chop here, similar to what we had yesterday, and then tomorrow we get the PCE data. That's the biggest catalyst this week. That comes in line cooler than expected. I think that bodes well heading into next week. And the thing with tomorrow, it's the end of the first quarter. I mean, the second quarter, it's the end of the first half. There might be some end of day shenanigans, like always seems to happen at the end of quarters. So definitely something to watch into tomorrow afternoon. So that's the SPY. And a good sign here is the small caps, which are outperforming today. And it looks like IWM is right at that 200 handle. Hopefully that can close above that today, and then maybe we can start to see some outperformance in the small caps. So individual names, of course, I'll talk about CHEWY first. Roaring Kitty posted a picture of a dog on his Twitter, or his X account, excuse me, and you could see the action in CHEWY. So once it started spiking a little bit, I said there's got to be some news. Whether it's there's rumblings, right? There's rumblings that GameStop could take a stake in CHEWY. It could be some kind of investment. They have a huge billions, 3 billion plus cash hoard. They're just waiting to unleash. And then now you have the GameStop crowd. Maybe they start going to CHEWY, and then sure enough, what happens? Roaring Kitty hinting that possibly has a position. So here's the thing. So first off, if you look at the premiums this week on the calls, and I was mentioning on Tuesday, just it seemed like the premiums were ramping with the stock not moving too much. I think the stock was up 11% yesterday, the day before, and just massive moves on the call premiums. And I think a lot has to do, and it was huge volume too. And I posted that on FinTwit Tuesday during the day in the afternoon, and you could just see huge volume, and you have to think that he was probably loading up, right? So once it started to move, I was scrambling to get calls. I was looking at July 40s. I couldn't get those. And I went for August 45s, and I actually got some at 40 cents. But by the time I went to go post, it was already at 90 cents on the ass. So I posted that as my entry. And then I locked some in just a little while ago for a couple 100%, just to cover some more costs and lock some profits in. You don't know. Maybe it's Trupanion that he's long. Maybe he's not long any pet name, right? Who knows? So I don't want, there's always uncertainty. Nothing's guaranteed. But you have to think if he announces a position like he did with GameStop, the thing's going to be trading well into the 40s, if not higher. It's a much better story, in my opinion, than GameStop. So there's actually there's actually some substance behind the company. I'm not saying that there isn't one with GameStop, but GameStop, there's opportunities, right? And there needs to be a whole slew of things that need to happen for it to be like a turnaround story, right? Chewy's already turning around their business. I wouldn't say turning around, but the return to growth, strong back-to-back quarters. Just I think it's a much better story. And when I was doing my rants on CHEWY at the start of the week, I looked at CHEWY and thought, hey, this stock could be $35, $40 on its own merits, just based on its fundamentals and its growth, with the wild card of possible catalysts. So that's CHEWY. Still has the January 70s. Those were up to $4 at times, but I only have a couple of those left. And of course, in hindsight, should I have held all my July 32.50s? I guess, right? But those are over 1,000%. So it's tough to hold on to those and, then watch some kind of a downgrade or some other catalyst that may, drop the stock. And the 32.50s, well, they're up. They're up from yesterday, right? All right, so that's CHEWY. Not going to talk too much about that. FIZZ. FIZZ is a name I traded back in the day. LaCroix, Seltzer. They have other. I think they own Shasta. It's an interesting story and interesting. Some of it is their leader, their CEO. He's I wouldn't call him crazy. Maybe he's I don't even know what word to describe them, but you'd just read their press releases. For example, so they had earnings yesterday, uh, and then their press release, he calls it corporate endorphins at work. And if you read the press release for earnings, it's crazy. But the wording of the press release, you would think this person uh, is not a leader, like writing a fiction story or something like that, right? But instead, he's the leader of a publicly traded company. And they actually do very well. And the stock used to be much higher. The LaCroix was a very big brand premium, so you could charge higher prices. It used to be very popular. It still is, but then it kind of growth slowed down. Stock kind of came down as well, and then they came out with an energy drink, and so they're just this quarter report a huge beat and raise, and then they also talked about their energy drink doing very well, and they announced a new flavor too for their LaCroix brand. Just it looks like if you take a look at it, it's fundamentally sound. They have tons of cash. They just did a special. I think it was a $3 special divvy. So those are all good things. And if you look at the chart, do I have the? Why am I just putting it up here? But if you look at the chart, I thought maybe once it breaks 50, it's off to the races. So already able to lock some of my strikes in to cover cost. I'll probably hold the rest, have July strikes, plenty of time. Also has it's not the biggest short interest, but there's an 8% short interest on the stock. So that's that. Oh, I forgot to talk about CHWY too. CHWY has a 14% short interest, and then they're going to retire 17 million shares, I guess, as of today. I don't know when that's happening after hours. So not only will the short interest be is 14, it's going to be like 15 or 16% because they're taking shares uh, out of the share count. All right, so that's that. That's Fizz. Exact Science. I was looking at calls at the open. Stock actually dipped under 44, and then it was pretty much a nonstop melt up into the afternoon. Uh, I think this. You take a look at the chart, 50, 51 or so. That looks like the breakout point on hang on a second, for the 50-day moving average. So that's a spot I think is a short-term target. Maybe that's gonna maybe next week. I think, or I mean, I would like to happen tomorrow, but needs probably a little time to get there, unless there's another upgrade or some other kind of catalysts. Um, Someone came out with another buy today, BTIG. Oh, we already had this. They reiterated their buy rating, lowered their price target to 70 from 80. I mean, you take a look at the stock, it's 45 bucks now. I don't think it's going to take much for that to get going. So that's Exact Science. Take a look at Roku. Finally, over that 50-day moving average. It hasn't closed over the 50 days since the middle of May, and I think if it can hold that, uh, I think that'll bode well for substantial more upside. The thing is, the premiums are creeping up, and I talked about it when I added the strikes that it was historically low premiums on Roku, and that's starting to creep up. And I think all it's going to take is a little kick, and that one's going to get some FOMO. It's going to be 60, 65s, and maybe over 70 a short period of time. It's rare that you see Roku trading almost floundering, I guess is what I would call it. I said left for dead. That's what it almost feels like. That the stock in the company has been left for dead. At some point, I think it comes back to life. Some of the other names, and you know what's funny? Trupanion was spiking after the Roaring Kitty tweet, all the way up to 30, 50. I was actually looking at some calls I passed. It's back down here at 29 bucks. It was at 28, all the way up to 30, 50, and then back down to 29. So I wouldn't call it comical, but it's pretty impressive that he puts out a tweet and doesn't even mention stocks, and it reverberates around some of these sectors and names. So, and then people make fun of it, right? Well, this is the market we're in today, where someone can move a stock just based on posting a picture. But hey, you got to trade it, right? Some other names, VKTX finally holding some gains here, up 7% after that Morgan Stanley initiation. One of these days, it's gonna run and go 50, 55, 60. We're real like to see that one continue breaking out this week and then into next week. Altimmune had a positive piece in the New York Post, and I've said it before around Altimmune. One of the key benefits or I don't call it features, but for their weight loss drug, they talk about the lean mass, right? If you're taking weight loss drugs, most times what it does is suppresses the appetite, and then people lose the good weight, right? Not just fat, but their muscle. Where Altimmune is trying to show that their weight loss drug is the best in regards to keeping muscle mass and losing the bad stuff, right? Losing the fat. So that was posted in New York Post. I think it was the New York Post. The stock spiked all the way up near $7. After that report has kind of faded. Still like that one for higher in the coming days. Turns looked like it was going to start rallying with the whole sector here. That one's kind of struggling to get back into the upward channel. It's right there. It's 690. Let me see if I can pull up my turns channel, which I don't think I have here. Do I have it? Let's see. Turns. There we go. Turns. Oh, maybe it's getting there. Why don't I have it here? Yeah, it's still substantially under. I'm gonna have to update my channel, my up channel. Hopefully it's the start of a new uptrend for turns. I'm trying to think of some of the other names I'm looking at here. Wow, AVAV reported earnings yesterday after the close and just getting pummeled today, down 10%. It was actually down at 162. It's bounced about $11. Nice move on Adobe the last day or two. Some other names I'm trying to think of. Other names I'm looking at here. I think that's about it. Arista Networks, looks like all-time highs. 348, just impressive move. Oh, last but not least is Spotify. So Spotify pretty much, eating my words, I guess. Instead of it trading up into the mid 320s and higher, the stock gapped at the open all the way up to 324 and then has been pretty much melting off ever since. So maybe a name I'll visit tomorrow morning at the open. We'll see, but just disappointing action. So I'll just sit on my hands there. And that's about it. So hopefully good PC data, or at least in line, cooler than expected. Market can find some footing into next week and the first half and second quarter on a positive note and go from there. That's about it, folks. Let's have a great day. I'll be back on the audio tomorrow. Rock and roll.